I'm Chris Ralph, the professional prospector, and I'm in Montana looking for sapphires and gold. Not just gold today, but gold and sapphires. You see here in the Helena area of Montana, there's a number of sapphire mines that have been productive and produced. Look very nice gemstones. Today I was invited to take a look at one of those mines, and I thought I'd bring you along to share with me what the fun of hunting both gold and sapphires actually is. So I'm about to go into the pit where the mine is, where they're actually excavating, or where they've been excavating, and we're going to take a look around and see what we can see. I'm going to turn you around here. There's the pit behind and the excavator. We're going to take a closer look here in just a second, so hang on. I'll be bringing you right back. Here you can see some of the different layers. From the surface, which the material on the surface is fine grained, blow sand, kind of, nothing with any particular great value in it. And then as you work your way down, you can see it starts becoming more and more gravelly. It gets more and more gravelly until eventually you get into gravels and even some boulders and other rocks. You can see they've mined along here. It's this lower layer that has the gravel and that sort of thing in it. That's where the gold and the gemstones, the sapphires, are located. And you can see they've been mining it and picking it up and moving it away, and then the gravel gets processed in a plant that I'll show you here in just a minute. Here's a different view of the pit. Again, you can see the gravels, the heavier gravels that are down at the bottom, and actually just below the gravels, I don't know if you can see it from this camera view, I can sort of see it from standing here, down where the water is, that there's actually a bedrock area. So basically the gold and sapphire bearing gravel sits on bedrock or near bedrock. And then you see above the overburden that doesn't really carry much of any value as far as gold or sapphires. It's all in this lower coarser gravel is where the values are. And this is the pit that they've been mining from to mine the sapphires and gold. Here is the active sapphire and gold mining operation at El Dorado Bar in Montana. You can see that the gravel is being processed, and we'll show you the plant in a minute where they have centrifugal bowls to take out the gold and the sapphires. Actually, the sapphires are captured with jigs. The gold is captured with the centrifugal bowls. We'll take a look at that in just a minute. Loading the sapphire and gold bearing gravel into the feeder bin, into the hopper. Going through the trommel, gets screened, and the large material goes out the back. The inside of the trommel, all the material gets washed, clean rock comes out the back. The finer material, which will have the gold and the sapphires, is collected and basically diverted out of the trommel to be processed in the plant. The larger material gets stacked into the bed of a truck. and then hauled away. This is the gold and sapphire processing plant. You can see the jigs moving up and down. What you can't see are the centrifugal bowls, which are inside enclosures. These are the jigs that capture the sapphires. The material goes right over there and the heavier stuff sinks down through, including the sapphires and the gold. He's hauling the oversized rock away. That's the too big rock that went through the trommel, the oversized, and he's going to go dump it on another part of his property. Meanwhile, the plant still is running. This is the water recycling part of the plant. The tailings come out here and the water gets recycled. Now I want to make it clear the gravel here as it comes out of the ground only has a tiny amount of gold and sapphires in it, but they process a lot of it and end up with a decent amount of gold and sapphires, but only by processing a large amount because the gravels are comparatively low grade.
So here is some of the gold from the operation. Now, I want you to note that this gold is very fine. There's a few little tiny pieces in there that are almost pickers. But honestly, most of this stuff is just really fine flakes and dust, which makes it harder to recover, which explains why the other operations at El Dorado Bar that are working on tailings still recover some gold and sapphires because, well, this kind of gold is tough to recover when it's this fine like this. But as you can see, Neil's plant does pretty well recovering the gold. This amount of gold, it's hard to tell how much this is. I would estimate that this pan has about 1/4 ounce of gold. Now, again, talking about how fine this gold actually is, I want you to look at the dirty gray water over toward the left side of the pool of water. You'll see little lines and swirls of kind of a yellow color. Yeah, that's gold floating on top of the water. Really fine gold will indeed float. Not because it's lighter than the water, but because of the surface tension of the water will allow it to float on top. So tiny little pieces of gold will float on top of water. Now, don't worry, he didn't lose even this little tiny bit of gold that's floating on the water. This was just done for a picture. We didn't try to get all the floating gold to sink. So anyway, but I just wanted to show you a lot of this gold, or a good portion of this gold, is fine enough that it'll float. Now there are some coarser pieces, and there's a few specimens and little nuggets here that I wanted to show you. So there are some little bit coarser pieces, though most of the gold is, like I showed you in the previous photos, really fine grained stuff that again is fine enough, a lot of it even, to float. This is a picture of the quartz veins that are found in the area. It's quartz associated with little zones of pyrite and that sort of thing. And it's the breakup and erosion and weathering of these veins that releases the gold that you've seen just in the last couple of pictures. Now here's a pan full of sapphires, and you can see that there's just all different colors, from pale shades of blue, pale shades of green, pink, yellow, all different kinds of shades that are all mixed in. So the sapphires come in all different shades, but most of them are a little on the pale side. Now here's a pan, a close-up of, it's the same material that you just saw. I mean, it literally is out of the same bag as the last photo, but because it's stacked up and deeper, the sapphires look a little darker in color. And here you can see when they're spread out thin that they really are kind of light colored. Now you'll notice down at the bottom of the stones there's a deep red single stone there right at the bottom of the pan, and that's actually a garnet. And if you look around at the upper edge of the pan at like 1:30, 2 o'clock, there's some other red stones, and there's another red stone at I'm sorry, not at 1:30, but 10:30, 11, and on the other side at like 1 o'clock around the edge, there's a couple of other dark red stones, and those are also garnets as well. And the plant produces way more sapphire than it does garnet, but it does produce some pretty red garnets that are also suitable for gemstones. Now here is a shot of some finished cut gemstones, and I'm sorry that you couldn't see this in person, because this was just like a handful of glitter and sparkle, because these stones are just alive when they're properly facet cut. And but you can also see the light blue, a little bit gray kind of color that the stones typically are. Now some of them can be heat treated and produce a much deeper, more attractive color, but the guy who does this sapphire mine, he sells his stones and his rough and allows the people who purchase them to decide for themselves whether they want to go into the heat treatment process. The heat treatment process costs a little bit of money because they have to heat it very carefully to very high temperatures in controlled oxidizing or reducing types of environments. But it is a permanent change to the stone. It's not something that's going to fade away when they heat treat it. So these stones can be changed to some really beautiful colors. Now my wife and I, we had a great time. We spent some time sorting through the gravel to find the sapphires, and my wife actually did pretty good. She found a nice one that I missed, so she had a great time with that, and we both had a great time visiting with Neil, the mine owner, and his wife. Now, my videos are about prospecting and finding gold, and if you want to be successful at finding gold and to learn more about prospecting, well, I wrote a book about that, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about my book right now. Okay, so I wanted to tell you a little bit more about my book. I wanted to be able to share the knowledge that I've gained about finding gold and how to be successful. And so I spent years literally writing this book, Fistful of Gold. It's more than 350 pages long, which is why I say it's an encyclopedia of everything you need to know about finding your own gold. I've sold more than 8,000 copies, and I've got a lot of really great feedback on it. It just is the most complete book on the market. It has information about finding gold that literally is not available in any other book that you're going to find for prospectors, because I took technical stuff from geologists and other mineral scientists, and I've translated that into language that the average guy can understand. You don't need a PhD to go out and find gold, but the information that scientists have learned over recent decades can be of a lot of help to people. So it's in this book. If you're interested about finding gold, panning, sluicing, nugget detecting, dry washing, the geology of gold deposits and how they form, It's all in here. And like I say, it's more than 350 pages long. So if you'll just go to the description underneath this video, you can take a look. I've got a link in there to take you to Amazon, to the site where the book is sold. And I think you'll really enjoy it. Take a look at all the people who've commented on this and have really liked the book. It has a very, very high rating for a book. And also, I have a website, my own free website that you can take a look at. I've got all kinds of information on here about doing research and how to find gold, a lot of good information, stuff that basically couldn't fit into my book. And so I put it on this website, and I have a link also for that in the video description. So take a look in the description, and you can click on the link, and it'll take you to my website. And finally, if you like this presentation, I've got a lot more coming out. Here's 3.5 ounces of gold that I found a couple years back in one area. I've got a lot more of these videos coming on gold, gemstones, hard rock, placer, a lot of metal detecting. There'll be lots of metal detecting stuff. So if you really enjoyed this, click the subscribe button and then tick the notification bell off, and YouTube will let you know when I publish new stuff. And hit the like button as well. And please comment on these videos, because I'm interested in what you have to say, and I promise to answer any questions you have. So if you are wondering about anything, or think maybe I didn't cover something thoroughly enough in a video, then let me know, and I'll be happy to try and help you out and give you whatever information you need. So thanks a lot, and hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you again real soon.